Stop for a second and listen to me. What would you say if I told you that your daily habits, those small things you do on autopilot without even thinking, could be silently destroying your brain? You wake up in the morning, maybe skip breakfast because you're in a hurry, grab your phone while still in bed, rush through the day from one task to another and think, that's just life, right? But here's the truth that few people know. These seemingly harmless routines could be literally shrinking your memory, clouding your focus, and accelerating your brain aging. And this becomes even more critical after 50, when our brain already starts facing natural changes. Look, I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to give you your power back. Because the good news is that our brain is incredibly adaptable. Scientists call this neuroplasticity. This means that the right changes can reverse years of damage and even improve your mental capacity. Today, we're going to reveal 7 science-backed habits that may be harming your brain, and more importantly, how to reverse each one with simple changes you can start today. Stay with me until the end, because habit number 7 is something 9 out of 10 people do every single day, and they have no idea what it's doing to their mind. You might be doing it right now.
Let's start with something you might do every morning without thinking twice: skipping breakfast. Oh, but I'm not hungry in the morning, you might be thinking. Or maybe, I just have coffee and I'm fine. Here's what science shows us. Your brain needs fuel in the morning, or it starts breaking down its own reserves to function. Researchers at the University of Cambridge followed thousands of people for years and discovered something striking. People who regularly skip breakfast have slower cognitive response and increased risk of dementia over time. Think about it this way. Your brain is like a high-performance car. After 8 hours without fuel during sleep, you can't expect it to run at maximum capacity with an empty tank. Your brain consumes about 20% of your body's total energy, and it runs primarily on glucose. When you skip breakfast, you force your brain to use proteins from muscles and other tissues to keep functioning. It's like making your car run on adulterated gasoline. It might still move, but it's causing internal damage. What to do instead? First rule, eat something nutritious within 1 hour of waking up. It doesn't have to be a feast, but it needs to be smart. Focus on the magic combination: protein plus healthy fat, eggs with avocado, oatmeal with nuts and berries, or even Greek yogurt with seeds. This combination keeps your glucose stable and gives your brain the quality fuel it needs. And please, coffee alone doesn't count as breakfast. Caffeine can mask the lack of energy, but it doesn't properly fuel your brain. Now, tell me something honestly. What's the first thing you do when you wake up? If your answer involves grabbing your phone to check WhatsApp, Instagram, or news, you're not alone. But you're also not doing your brain any favors. Here's what happens when you start your day scrolling. You're literally training your brain to be reactive instead of focused. Neuroscientist Dr. Andrew Huberman from Stanford explains this brilliantly. When you trigger your dopamine system early with notifications, likes, and random information, you're rewiring your attention span. It's like telling your brain, today we're going to jump from one distraction to another. Dopamine is the neurotransmitter of motivation and focus, but when you waste it early on empty stimuli, it becomes harder to concentrate on important things during the day. Studies show that people who check their phones within the first 15 minutes of waking have greater difficulty concentrating, more anxiety, and lower productivity throughout the day. It's like starting a race already tired. Additionally, blue light from screens early in the morning can confuse your circadian rhythm, even if you've already slept through the night. What to do instead? Create a simple rule: 30 minutes screen-free every morning. I know it might seem impossible at first, but try it for a week and feel the difference. Use this time for things that actually prepare your brain for success. Drink water to rehydrate after the night. Take deep breaths to oxygenate your brain. Stretch to activate circulation. Or write 3 things you're grateful for. These activities prepare your nervous system for a day of focus and mental clarity instead of dispersion and reactivity. How many tabs do you have open in your browser right now? How many things are you trying to do simultaneously at this moment? If you're like most people, you're probably proud of your multitasking ability. After all, we live in a culture that values doing 1,000 things at once. But I have news that might shock you. Multitasking is a myth. Your brain doesn't do multiple tasks. It switches between them very rapidly, and this switching comes at a high cost. The Stanford Memory Lab made a fascinating discovery. People who consider themselves good at multitasking actually make more mistakes, retain less information, and feel more mental fatigue than those who do one thing at a time. Every time you switch tasks, say from writing an email to answering a call and then checking a message, your brain needs to spend energy to reconnect to the new activity. Scientists call this switching cost. Over time, this constant wear leads to what we call chronic cognitive fatigue. That's why you reach the end of the day feeling mentally exhausted, even if you haven't done anything physically demanding. And here's the worst part. After 50, this ability to switch between tasks naturally decreases, making multitasking even more harmful to cognitive performance. What to do instead? The solution is simpler than you think: time blocking. Dedicate focused time blocks to each activity. Try the Pomodoro technique: 25 minutes of total focus on a single task, then 5 minutes of break. Or, if you prefer, do 45-minute blocks with 10-minute breaks. The important thing is to resist the temptation to check email, messages, or other distractions during these blocks. Your brain will thank you with more clarity, fewer errors, and a real sense of accomplishment. Before we continue, if this information is being helpful to you, help me get this knowledge to more people. Give this video a like. This helps YouTube's algorithm show it to others who might also benefit. And tell me in the comments, how many of these habits did you catch yourself doing today? Be honest, we're here to learn and improve together, not to judge. Now let's talk about something that might be in your pantry right now: hidden sugar. But I don't eat sweets, you might be thinking, and maybe that's true, but sugar is hidden in places you can't even imagine. That healthy granola bar? It might have more sugar than chocolate. The natural juice? It could have the equivalent of 8 teaspoons of sugar. Even that low-fat yogurt you think is super healthy might be loaded with added sugars. Here's the science behind it. Excess sugar feeds inflammation, including in your brain. A study published in the journal Neurology followed people for decades and found a clear link between excessive sugar consumption and brain shrinkage, especially in areas responsible for memory. The risk of Alzheimer's also increases significantly. What happens is that excess sugar causes blood glucose spikes, which in turn generate free radicals, molecules that damage brain cells. Over time, this leads to chronic inflammation and what scientists call brain fog, that feeling of mental cloudiness. Even worse, sugar is addictive. It activates the same pleasure centers in the brain as drugs, creating a cycle of dependence that makes it increasingly difficult to concentrate without a new dose of sugar. What to do instead? The World Health Organization recommends less than 25 grams of added sugar per day. To give you an idea, that's about 6 teaspoons. Start reading labels. Sugar has many names: sucrose, fructose, corn syrup, maltodextrin, among others. Prioritize whole foods, fruits instead of juices, plain oats instead of sugary cereals, nuts instead of processed bars. Your brain will thank you with more mental clarity, better memory, and more stable energy throughout the day. How many hours did you sleep last night? And more importantly, how was the quality of that sleep? If you're like many adults today, probably not enough or not with the necessary quality. And this could literally be washing your brain down the drain. During deep sleep, your brain does something incredible. It cleans itself. There's a system called the glymphatic system that removes toxins accumulated during the day, including proteins related to Alzheimer's. According to the National Institute of Health, inadequate sleep is directly linked to cognitive decline, mood disorders, and memory problems. And here's the scary fact: even 1 or 2 nights of poor sleep already significantly impair your focus and emotional control. When you don't sleep well, your brain can't consolidate the day's memories nor clean itself properly. It's like not taking out the trash from your house for several days. Toxins accumulate and start affecting everything. Additionally, chronic sleep deprivation increases cortisol levels, the stress hormone, which in excess is toxic to brain cells, especially in the hippocampus area, responsible for memory. People who sleep less than 6 hours per night have a 30% higher chance of developing cognitive problems over time. What to do instead? Establish a sacred routine: 7 to 9 hours of sleep at the same time every day, including weekends. 1 hour before bed, turn off all screens. Blue light interferes with melatonin production, the sleep hormone. Transform your bedroom into a sleep sanctuary, dark, quiet, and cool. The ideal temperature is between 64 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Create a relaxation ritual: chamomile tea, reading, meditation, or deep breathing. Your brain needs signals that it's time to slow down. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Have you heard this expression? Well, when it comes to the human brain, this is completely false. In fact, a bored brain is a brain that's slowly dying. Harvard researchers made a revolutionary discovery. Learning new skills, especially after 50, dramatically increases neuroplasticity and delays brain aging. Neuroplasticity is your brain's ability to form new neural connections. Scientists used to think this only happened in childhood, but today we know the brain can reorganize itself throughout life. When you learn something new, whether it's a language, a musical instrument, new technology, or even a puzzle game, you're literally building new roads in your brain. Studies show that people who stay intellectually active are 2.6 times less likely to develop dementia. It's as if constant learning created a cognitive reserve that protects the brain against decline. But attention, it has to be really challenging. Always doing the same crossword puzzles doesn't count. Your brain needs to step out of its comfort zone. What to do instead? Dedicate at least 15 minutes a day to learning something completely new and challenging. Some suggestions: learn a new language on Duolingo, play a musical instrument, learn to cook dishes from other cultures, take online courses on subjects you've never studied, or even play complex strategy games. The important thing is to choose something that requires concentration, memory, and coordination between different parts of the brain.
And we've reached habit number 7, the one I promised that 9 out of 10 people do every day without realizing the impact. You're sitting now, aren't you? Maybe for more than an hour? But I go to the gym after work, you might be thinking. Unfortunately, this doesn't completely solve the problem. Here's what the Mayo Clinic discovered. Sitting for prolonged periods reduces blood circulation to the brain, increasing the risk of cognitive impairment, even if you exercise later. Your brain needs a constant supply of oxygen-rich blood to function properly. When you sit for too long, gravity makes venous return difficult, reducing cerebral blood flow. Studies show that people who sit more than 8 hours a day have an increased risk of cognitive decline, regardless of other factors like regular exercise. The sitting position also affects the production of BDNF, or brain-derived neurotrophic factor, a protein crucial for neuron growth and survival. Even worse, sitting for long periods increases systemic inflammation, which reaches the brain and impairs cognitive function. What to do instead? The rule is simple. Get up and move every 30 to 45 minutes. Set an alarm if necessary. It doesn't have to be intense exercise. Walk to the kitchen, go up and down stairs, do some stretches, or even stand during phone calls. If possible, consider a desk that allows you to work standing for part of the day, or have walking meetings when appropriate. Simple movements equal better cerebral blood flow equal better cognitive function.
So, which of these habits surprised you the most? How many did you recognize in your own routine? If you made it this far, one thing is certain. You care about your brain health, and that's already the first and most important step. But information without action is just entertainment. So here's my challenge for you. Don't try to change everything at once. That only leads to frustration and giving up. Instead, choose just one habit from this list to improve this week. It could be waking up 30 minutes earlier to have a nutritious breakfast. It could be leaving your phone charging outside the bedroom. It could be setting an alarm to get up every 45 minutes. Choose what makes the most sense for your life right now and start small. In 7 days, you'll already feel the difference in your mental clarity, memory, and energy. Remember, your brain is incredibly adaptable. The right changes today can reverse years of damage and even improve your mental capacity beyond what it's ever been. You have the power to protect and strengthen your mind, and it's never too late to start. If this content was useful to you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more science-based tips that can transform your life. And one last thing I almost forgot to mention. If this video reminded you of someone, a friend, family member, or colleague who could benefit from this information, share it with that person. Sometimes a simple share can change a life, and taking care of the mental health of those we love is one of the best gifts we can give.